Hey everybody, it's Christine and I am up at Bella Boulevard today with a 2-page layout. It was a designer's choice challenge, and so I set out thinking, I'm going to go ahead and use the Home Sweet Home collection because I haven't used that yet. However, I was kind of inspired to just go a little crazy and create with multiple collections. So I am creating a 2-page spread. It's of my oldest son's birthday, so he's a teenager, and so I knew the colors needed to be somewhat masculine. Not necessarily, I wasn't looking for like super masculine. So you can see I've got primary colors in there along with that green, and of course that all looks pretty masculine. That said, I'm going to embellish and stuff with however it works. I'm not afraid to work in flowers, hearts, stars, etc. As long as it coordinates and overall doesn't have a feminine feel to it. So that's why I went with these color choices specifically. Now, why in the world am I doing my strips of patterned paper in like slanted rows? A couple of reasons. First of all, I just think it makes things look a little more interesting and less perfectly symmetrical. Scrapbook layouts don't tend to be symmetrical for me. And so while there is a good balance, I'm not looking for perfect symmetry. In fact, usually if I have perfect symmetry and perfectly straight lines, I find something that's just slightly off and it drives me bonkers. So I set out to put these slanted so that I wouldn't have to go crazy trying to straighten this a little and straighten that a little and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I approached it that way. Now, the next thing you're going to see is I have these circle-shaped photographs. I cut every single one of my pictures into a circle shape, which that was a serious commitment. I had to really take my time so I didn't mess the pictures up. And then I matted those onto coordinating patterned paper. So now you can also see I've got them all lined out here. And you saw just a minute ago I was inking the edges of my circles. That was to help set the circles apart from their background because they are matted on the exact same paper. Now, because I'm overlapping the circles, obviously some of them, like you can see like on that first round, they overlap the blue and the green. So that certainly pops a little bit more. But just by taking a simple gray ink and going around the outside, I was able to make ensure that they don't get lost. And you can see I just laid things out. This was kind of a time-consuming process, figuring out where I wanted each circle and trying to get a little bit of a flow going for the layout. Particularly, it was a challenge because I didn't have a title on there, didn't have embellishments on, but I didn't want to add those things because I wanted to make sure I could get the pictures on there and get a flow going before I put those on. Had I chosen that first, I could have potentially still made it work, but it certainly would have dictated where certain pictures would have had to go. And so I approached it from a picture-first perspective. You can see that I did use the Embrace Today acrylic words for my title. Those, I liked the script look of those. I did have to be careful once I decided to go that route not to involve too many other fonts because it's a pretty specific style. What I especially like about it is the way it works with all the circles. I feel like it's got that flow that just goes well with circles on it. I'm also adding in chow chip and ephemera, different hearts, and targeting putting those where they coordinate with the patterned paper. You can also see that I'm doing some outlining. I am doing that on spots that are flat. So I'm not going to do that on the chow chip pieces, but I am going to do that on the ephemera and stickers and even around my circles and stuff. Again, to make things pop a little bit more, because I opted to do that, I decided that the distress inks weren't quite enough, just because you don't want to have just your hearts outlined in black. You gotta if you're gonna do outlining, you gotta do outlining. You can't be just having 2 or 3 things outlined. So once I decided that, I opted to do that to my circles as well. I'm going to go ahead and use some patterned paper and some border stickers to create coordinating borders. And I'm going to do the blue and the green over on the red and yellow page and vice versa. And I'm just using a 3/4 inch strip of that same patterned paper from the other page as my base. And then I'm adding these scalloped borders just atop it. And those come from sticker sets. Those come from, one of them's from the Home Sweet Home sticker set, and the other one is from one of the other new ones. I can't remember exactly. But it, you know, it's either Let's Go on an Adventure or Splash Zone. It could be either one of those. So those, I love border stickers. They just add a nice touch to things. As you can see, the scallops definitely help accentuate those circles and just make the whole thing flow. And once again, you can see I'm doing a little outlining to make those pop even more. So this whole thing is definitely coming together. I'm just going to need to add in some finishing embellishing, and we will have a great 2-page teenager layout. Now, as I was looking at these colors more and more, I was really like, what am I going to embellish with? I was kind of stuck. And then I realized that the colors that I used a lot of had the same coloring as the flowers in Let's Go on an Adventure. And so that was perfect. I had enough of those left that I could pull those out, both the Chow Chip and the ephemera, and look how well they coordinate. The reds, the yellows, yes, it brings in some orange, yes, it brings in some aqua color, but for the most part, it's pretty much a perfect match and still has a little bit of that masculine feel to it because of the colors. And so I was thrilled with that. I did pull in one flower from Home Sweet Home, which you saw me just stick on there up at the top, that red flower. But otherwise, they all came from Let's Go on an Adventure, which is super fun. I love the way that Bella Boulevard can mix and match. It's one of the greatest things about that company. Their colors always coordinate, and you can mix and match so easily. Even if you don't have a whole collection, even if you just have bits and pieces of it, you can make it work. So there you have it, a simple 2-page layout using a variety of collections. My encouragement to you is, as you're sitting down to do a 2-page layout, don't be afraid to mix and match. Pull in some old collections. Let's say you have some extra leftovers sitting around. Well, pull in that one paper that you have left from another collection and work it in there and get it used. Definitely something that is possible and a great feature for Bella Boulevard. So thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you again next time.